told him, "Oh, your stuff's too realistic." So he went over to inking, and he's toyed around for years with doing something where he did all the art himself. But for a lot of inkers, if you ask them, they're like, "Well, you're a really good penciler. Why don't you do this?" Most of them say the same thing. Like, I'm not fast enough to keep up with the schedule of being a penciler. Like, I can be an inker, and especially back in the day, now the pencils are so tight with most of these guys that the inkers not doing a whole lot other than really just kind of tracing it and making sure everything's shaded right. But back in the day, in the 80s, 70s, 60s, Gary will know this, like, it was, pencilers were almost just doing like, layouts that were a little extra detailed, and the inker was, doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
And now with digital, I mean, a lot of guys are doing it all digitally too. So it's real art to do it the old way.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think I forget who the inker was that said they're like, to be a good inker, like you still have to know about like poses and anatomy and storytelling. Like, you still have to know all this stuff. It's just most of the ones that choose to be inkers, like he said, is like they just can't keep up with the schedule of, they're not fast enough to keep up with the schedule of being a penciler.
Yep.
And now we've lost so many great artists from the 90s that are just doing like, oh, I'm just going to do covers now. I don't need to do interiors.
Yeah, that's the rock store thing. Just do covers now.
But you think about like the amount of money they make just doing covers, and like J. Scott Campbell, where he sells the exclusive ones on his website and goes to cons and sells prints and designs a statue. Like, they make enough money doing that. I mean,
I just like, I'm not one to fall too hard too often for the variant game, but every once in a while it gets me. Like, I just recently picked up a couple copies of Tyler Kirkham did an homage to the Jim Lee X-Men cards of the Danger Room.
Oh yeah.
He did like 9 covers.
I saw that.
Yeah, just like the cards did back in the day. And I picked up the Nightcrawler one and the one with Colossus and Jean on it, just because, like, I mean, I love the card art, the old Jim Lee art, and this one's so like nicely tight to that, and they're really nice covers. I could see myself wanting to pick up all of them eventually, but I think it's better to wait on those things too, right? But those two I had to pick up.
Yeah. Todd Nauck is another one that comes to mind that was did a ton of interiors, and now he does a lot of like these variant covers, but he still does interiors too. Like, he's done a lot of Spider-Man recently, but I'd love to see him come back and do his creator-owned series Wild Guard again. I'd love to see J. Scott Campbell come and do another Danger Girl miniseries.
Well, is he a co-creator? He's the co-creator of that, right?
No, he created it completely himself.
Okay, so he's told. See, I can see him doing something like that because he has a stake in it. But that'd be about it, I would think, for interiors now.
Yeah, I know McFarlane talked him into doing those couple pages for Spawn for that. Was it like $350 or whatever? And McFarlane was like, "Look, you draw it and I'll ink it." So, well, why don't we why don't we tell everyone where they can find us all? Ryan, we'll start with you. You want to tell everyone who you are, if they're unfamiliar with you, where they can find you at?
Yeah. So I am Ryan, the Colossus Collector. You can find me here on YouTube, Colossus Collector channel here on YouTube. You can also find me at Colossus Collector on IG. I am a collector of comics, make content around comic books. I also dabble a little bit in statues and original art now every once in a while. So just content around that, and happy to be on here, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're glad. We know you're supposed to be out a couple of weeks ago, and then you got sick. Yeah. So glad you're feeling better. Glad you're able to come on tonight.
It's that March, things are starting to get warmer, but then you get sick time. It's the worst.
Oh yeah, it's March Madness, all right.
Feeling good now. Well, we're April now. It's crazy.
Yeah. All right. How about we got the Ric Flair of comics up here. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you, what you got going on?
Comic Logic, baby. Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. You come on in and see us. We would love to make your acquaintance. We have we're Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. So we're Northern Virginia. Come see us. Next month's a big month. Free Comic Book Day should be, I believe it's May 3rd is Free Comic Book Day. And we will have Diana Lee Insanto there. She was martial arts royalty. Her father's Daniel Insanto. She herself has been in The Mandalorian, and her godfather is Bruce Lee. So you don't get any more royal than that in the martial arts universe. So come see her. She'd be happy to sign your books. Get a picture with her. Make your acquaintance. Please come see her. And we're also celebrating our 10th anniversary that month. So we have another event where our fall lot con on Sunday, May 18th, and we turn our comic book parking lot for our store into a mini con. There, we have like 30 different vendors there: comics, toys, local artists, local authors. You can get tattoos if you want. We got a tattoo spot set up there. So if you want to get some tattoos, come get tattooed, get some ink. And then we also have at the end of the month, Comic Logic will be at the Big Lick Comic Con in Dulles Expo Center in Fairfax, Virginia on May 31st, June 1st. And we'd love to see you there. It's con with big con, few names in there. You can do some shopping, but it's a nice mid-sized con. And then our last big event to talk about is on Sunday, June 8th. We will have Jim Calafori in-store signing, and he will also do some free sketches for you. We have some blank covers there. You buy a blank cover, and he'll do a quick sketch for you on that cover for free. He will be selling copies of his book Ned 2. That was a Kickstarter that Dan has. He'll have Ned 1 copies there too. Dan has Ned 1 and 2, and
yeah, they're so good.
Yep. So Dan will bring those books there for California to sign them for him, and come meet him, get a picture, get a signature. Jim Calafori worked on Batman titles. He worked on Exiles. He has a long distinguished run on Aquaman. I have that big giant Aquaman omnibus. I'm going to get him to draw something in there for me. And good. And right now he's doing Defenders of the Earth is that Mad Cave? Is that Mad Cave?
Mad Cave.
Yes, so Defenders of the Earth. It's Phantom, Flash Gordon, Mandrake. So it's good title. So come meet a working artist that is a very stalwart in the industry, Jim Calafori, Sunday, June 8th.
He's a real nice guy too.
He is a good guy. Did I tell you I commissioned the piece from him finally?
Yes. Yeah.
The Wildcat.
Yeah.
So
did you read the new JSA?
I did. It won't last. It's okay.
I know it won't last, but still, I'm like,
I'll have to see how it comes out. But yeah.
So real quick, I want to say hi to everyone in the chat. Richard, Eric, Booge, who am I missing? Matt. I think that's everyone that's in there. Thank you for joining us. Jamie just texted me. He said that we weren't going on YouTube, but he fixed it and we are now. So
okay, well,
I don't know.
Yeah, man. I was like, are we live? I couldn't find it.
Yeah, apparently, I don't know what it is, but we're on there now. So
we are here.
Make sure to check us out online at thecodexstation.com. It's the website that was, very carefully and professionally made by our own Uncle Gary.
No, it wasn't. They know. Anybody that knows me knows I can barely type on this damn thing.
Yeah. So there's there's little profiles and pictures of everyone on the team. There's links to all of our different socials. There's links to the merch on there, which I keep getting on Jamie, man. We gotta get that Sal the Slab guy. We gotta get the Slab Fairy shirt done that I drew the Slab Fairy for. Just who wouldn't
want to wear a Slab Fairy?
Yeah. So I drew this picture of Sal, like a cartoon kind of thing, where it's like a little Cupid, like in the diaper, and kind of chubby, and he's got his wings and he's flying, and then it's Sal's head, and he's holding a little Venom slab that says like 9.8, and it says the Slab Fairy.
I'm gonna have to pick up one of those T-shirts. I mean, it sounds like an absolute winner.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for him to turn it into the shirt.
There you go.
All right. Well, you guys ready to go ahead and and jump into this show and talk about all things Submariner?
Let's do it.
Good.
Yeah, let me find the because I gotta, since Sal decided to go to the hockey game, I gotta run all the stuff. So
what are they in first place or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, like do they have like an all-time NHL goal scorer or something?
Yeah, something like that. I don't
Great
know.
chase is over.
Sal was one game off.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He was hoping they wouldn't break it in New York on Sunday because he had tickets for this game.
That was still though. It would have been better in Washington, but that was so cool though that when he did it, that even the New York crowd was chanting "OV." Oh,
yeah, I know,
because even they know, like,
respect has to be paid. Yeah,
honor the achievement.
Absolutely, and that, I mean, you saw history.
Yeah,
you saw history. So,
like, I was at Ripken's game when he broke Lou Gehrig's record. That's something I'll remember until I'm old and senile.
That's incredible.
But, what a great night that was. One of the coolest things about that night. Okay, so you had 25 minutes or whatever that the game stopped and the applause. Dan, do you know that they showed when he broke the record on the video screen in Fenway Park? Do you know what happened?
Oh, they cheered him, didn't they?
How long? It was a 7-minute standing ovation in Fenway Park for a TV screen.
Chills,
that's pretty cool. That is awesome that they stood up and applauded the big scoreboard screen hundreds of miles away for a game they weren't even witnessing, and they were on their feet cheering. Yeah, one of the rivals on their feet cheering that. That just goes to show you. I guess the best record I saw was in was it in 1992? Art Monk broke Steve Largent's reception record on Monday Night Football against the Denver Broncos, and I was there at old RFK Stadium to watch the Redskins beat the Broncos on Monday Night Football, and to see Art Monk break that record, and everybody lifted him up and carried him off the field. It was amazing to see that.
Well, Ripken was such a humble guy too that because it's it's partway through the game when it's like, okay, there's been enough innings played, the game is official now, and they put the thing on the scoreboard and they drop the banner on the warehouse, because I have a picture of the 2-1-3-0 and the 2-1-3-1, but I also have a picture when they drop the 1 and the banner's like exactly halfway down, and he kind of came out of the dugout. He came out and like gave a little tip of his hat and stuff, and then went to walk back in. And his teammates, you go back and watch it. His teammates like pushed him out of the dugout. They're like, you're not just tipping your cap and coming out. And then it
was Bonilla and Palmero.
Yeah, and he kind of started shaking hands, and they were pushing him. They're like, "No, go!" And you could see like all of his teammates in the dugout with their video cameras, and you could see the opponents. You see they're in the dugout, and they've all got video cameras.
Right, and one of the guys he met when he went over there, the third base coach, was Hall of Famer Rob Carew, one of the greatest hitters ever lived. Was there. It was wonderful. They were all a part of it, which is kind of cool that the New York Islanders were part of the moment, and they stood out on the ice and were tapping their sticks for him, and they all greeted him and dapped him up. That's wonderful.
I'm not sure, but that might be the team he scored the most goals on in his career. I would venture they're like in the top 3 at least, because they've been so bad for so much of his career.
Well, plus their rivals are in the same division. Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, you gotta respect the achievement, the respect the player.
Well, just like when Ripken sat.
Richard said.
Put a slab on him. When Ripken sat out finally, it was against the Yankees, and now here we are talking about a rival, the Evil Empire. When they realized Ripken wasn't going to be in the game, the Yankees, led by I think Joe Girardi, was one of the instigators. All the Yankees came out of the dugout and stood on the sidelines, and they pointed to the Orioles dugout, and all of them applauded Cal Ripken. That's a class act by the baseball franchise. I guess the New York Yankees. I guess them and the Dodgers are the franchises. But those guys came up, gave him respect because all the players respected Ripken. For the streak, for bringing baseball back after the strike, for staying in opposing ballparks and signing autographs 2 hours after the game ended, and what he did for baseball. And it was wonderful to see that love by his opponent.
I was at that game too because we were sitting in our seats, and when the team comes out on the field, I'm like, that's not Cal, because he was
the last home game of the season.
Yeah, he was playing third base at that point, and
Yep.
my mom goes, "What?" And I'm like, "That's not Cal." And she looks through the binoculars. She's like, "Oh, holy shit, it's not." And then he just kind of came out of the dugout and like gave, when they announced it, like, "Oh, he's not playing that," and gave a tip of his cap, and and that was that. Then the final All-Star game, he's there at third because that's what he's playing, and why do I keep thinking it wasn't Rivera? It was crap. What's his name? The super famous shortstop for the Yankees. Blanking on his name now.
It was now listen.
Oh no,
we've had this discussion before, and I would want to look it up. You said Jeter. I'm sure it was A-Rod that moved him over.
I'm pretty sure it was Jeter.
Well, I'd like to look it up. We could look
right.
it up.
A-Rod wasn't on the
Jeter, and A-Rod went to third, right?
Right, because A-Rod and Cal were A-Rod idolized Cal, and so it was a big deal for A-Rod to push him back to short. So that's how I remembered that it was A-Rod that did it, not Jeter.
I think it was Jeter because A-Rod wasn't on the Yankees yet, and when he went to the Yankees, he was. Well,
like I said, we can look it up and see. That's just how I remembered that it was A-Rod, and that he went and played it. Do you remember who replaced him in the lineup the game he didn't play for the Orioles?
No, I forgot.
Ryan Miner.
Yeah.
And Ryan Miner has since passed away.
Yeah.
He died a year or two ago of cancer.
All right. No more baseball talk. Pam's probably sitting there somewhere being like, God, shut up and talk about comics. All right. We will be back in whenever we're back. Just you sat through all this, sit through it some more.
I am Namor, Prince of Atlantis. Imperious Rex.
See, Sal's here after all.
Yeah, I definitely recognize his voice on that one.
What an intro.
Yeah,
so, yes, here we are back again. Another comic character of the week.
Smells like seafood.
Yeah, as you saw in the intro, we are talking about the King of Fish Sticks, Namor the Sub-Mariner. We have Ryan from Colossus Collector here. The special guest. Jamie is out of town going to C2E2. Sal is out of town. He is getting his back waxed at the moment.
Oh, no, that could take all week.
Yeah. So you just got the three of us tonight. So, yeah, welcome. Welcome to everyone in the chat. And we're going to go ahead and jump into this. So, as Ryan, as you said in the, pre-show, yes, Namor is the oldest Marvel character, predating Marvel.
Yep.
His first appearance, Namor likes fish sticks. I mean, who doesn't like fish sticks?
I like fish sticks.
I haven't had any in a while. I might have to get the Gordon's Fisherman.
Speaking of this South Park episode, everybody talking about fish sticks. Anyways, we don't have to go there.
Yeah. So his first appearance was Motion Picture Funnies issue 1, which was a book that was never officially released. It was supposed to be distributed to movie theaters and
for free
now.
Yeah.
And it ended up getting canceled, and only a few copies of it actually got out. So you want to talk about rare books. There's not many that are more rare than that.
Mm-hmm.
And Namor was first appeared in that, but since it was something that ultimately collapsed, his creator, Bill Everett, and that was in April 1939. So his creator, Bill Everett, saw that Timely was putting out this book, Marvel Comics #1, a few months later. And he says, well, I'll just take my Namor story and put it in there. So, bam, Namor becomes part of the Marvel Universe. And yes, fish sticks are very good. Get some good tartar sauce with them.
Oh, I like ketchup.
Yeah.
No, I'm wrong for that.
Ketchup.
Ugh. Yep.
But I read something, I don't know how true it is, but that someone told him about the creation of the character, the Human Torch, and that led him to wanting to create kind of an opposite of him, a water-based character, and he came up with Namor. And do you guys know how he came up with the name Namor? I'm sure Gary knows.
Yeah, and I think I originally mentioned this to you a couple years ago. We talked about it, but yeah, he used to like to write names backwards to see how it sounds.
Yeah, so he would write all these regal sounding names backwards, and then one of them was he wrote important sounding names, and he wrote Roman backwards and said, "Oh, Namor, I like that."
Yeah.
So you got Namor.
When the Submariner was born.
Yes. So his origin, not an overly complicated one, and surprisingly, as much as comics love to retcon stuff, has not really retconned it. His mother, Fen, was the Princess of Atlantis. She was sent by her father, the King of Atlantis, to spy on these humans. And while she was doing so, she fell in love with an American sea captain named Leonard Mackenzie. They got married on the ship, which was then attacked by all of these Atlantean warriors because her father was like, "Where's my daughter? Why has she been gone so long? Your curfew was at 12 o'clock. It's now 12:15." And found her with the humans, so they massacred. Namor it kind of is a fishy sounding name. So they massacred all the humans. They took her back to Atlantis. She was pregnant. A few months later, little pink-skinned baby Namor was born, who stood out from all the blue-skinned Atlanteans, and he grew up and became King of Atlantis, and was, I guess, the closest you could call to a retcon was that later on they said, after they introduced mutants, they were like, "Oh yeah, Namor's a mutant," which already made
first.
Yeah.
Well, but then you have Apocalypse, who was
yeah. I guess first by being like first actual mutant written, I guess is the term.
Yes.
But it kind of made sense anyways. He was born with his powers.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as those powers, he's got super strength, speed, durability, agility, senses, reflexes. He could control marine life, though we were talking about in the pre-show. They don't really utilize that as much as they do with Aquaman. And damn, it sounded like he was just coming after someone there.
Bloop, bloop,
bloop. He's got little wings on his feet, which make him fly, which make absolutely no sense and yet are super cool. He has extended longevity, and he can breathe underwater or on land.
And got little wings on his feet.
Yes. So let's just jump into it. Best scenario for the character. Since you chose him, Ryan, why don't you lead off and tell us your best scenarios for Namor?
What do you mean by scenarios? Just to
the best way he's used the best way.
Yeah, like what do you like best?
Yeah, I like
Mr.
Mariner. I like Namor because he's such a complex character, and like he's sometimes good, sometimes bad. He's conflicted. He's just kind of that great anti-hero. So I like him in the anti-hero kind of role that he's in. If I had to pick a lane, I like him. I'm gonna go the lukewarm way. I like him right down the middle. He's kind of a little bit bad, a little bit good. But
he's a little bit country, a little bit rock and roll.
Oh my god! Like I was literally just thinking that. I was gonna. Great minds.
Great minds.
He's at his best when he's just he's doing what's right for his throne and for his people. and sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, but you can kind of understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
You may not agree with him, but you can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and go next. Yeah, to call him temperamental would be a disservice to the term temperamental. He's a dick. He's an asshole.
He's a dick. He's a fish dick.
But he's been around longer than most everyone else, and he's a king. It's not that he's got this overblown, like he's legitimately a king. He can look, and ruling Atlantis, ruling the, like the same with Aquaman, like he rules more of the earth than anyone else. So he could look at these people and be like, oh, you own a company. Oh, you're, leader of this team. That's great. I'm the king of Atlantis, and that's all of your oceans belong to me.
Aquaman's a little more diplomatic. Namor does not give a rat's ass.
No, he does. And as far as when he's working with teams, he's been on so many teams, good guys and bad guys. The only team I really like seeing him on, on a regular basis, is the Invaders, and that seems to be the only team that he's on where he actually respects everybody that's on the team. Because when he's on the X-Men, when he's on the Avengers, some of these villain teams, some of the people he'll have respect for, some of them he looks down on. The Invaders is really the only time that he had that respect for everyone that was on the team. And remember, in his first appearance, he was a bad guy, essentially. He was attacking mankind, and then he was always in the Golden Age fighting Human Torch, and then and his whole thing was screw humanity, you pollute our waters, this is our world. And then the Nazis come, and he's like, yeah, these guys really suck. I'm going to team up with you guys. We're going to take them out. And all these Invaders series they've done throughout the years since then, he's always drawn to that group of characters, and those are the ones that he respects. And I think that's the team that he works best with. So what about you, Gary? What do you like best?
I was just gonna say, to be fair, he's his gripe about how we treat the oceans is kind of warranted. I mean,
he's totally right about that. Yeah,
we treat it as our cesspool,
as
garbage dump. Namor, in my opinion, is best when he's kicking Nazi and Japanese ass during World War II. That's when he's the best. So, the Invaders, and I do love him with the Invaders, but the Invaders was retconned. That was in the 70s.
Because originally, then when they did it in the Gold Age, was it the All-Winter Squad?
It's All-Winter Squad.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, look at the first 10 issues or so of Marvel All Select Comics. It's Cap, it's Torch, and it's Namor, and they're war covers, and they're beating, they're fighting the Axis on those. So those are really cool. And I believe Namor was the first comic character to fight the Nazis, I believe. So from, he came out of the gate fighting the Nazis. So that's where I think he is best, when he is kicking their ass. And he, whether it's in the Atlantic or the Pacific, when he's screwing up an Axis operation, that's when he's the best. And I do love him with the the group that came to be known as the Invaders.
Yeah, when he's like, I don't like humanity, but I could deal with you guys because I really don't like them.
I really hate those guys. Yeah.
1939. That's when he came to be, right? So right in the start of World War II, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because in 39 was when they blitzkrieged Poland between them and Russia. But they had been making aggressive moves, and Imperial Japan had taken over China. Point had been all up and down since the mid 30s. So, he was 1939 Motion Picture Funnies. Later in 39, Marvel Comics #1 he was in.
Yeah.
Then Aquaman was not created till 41. So there are a lot of very much similar origins. Namor's father was Mackenzie.
Leonard Mackenzie.
Yeah, he was a boat captain, but his mother was a princess. Aquaman's mother was a princess. But you know what? You didn't get Aquaman's origin until They didn't redo it until late 50s.
Yeah, because the original Golden Age origin was much different.
Yeah, it was different. And of course, his father was a lighthouse keeper, so still with the sea, but not a captain. So yeah, his original Golden Age origin was different and kind of sketchy. They didn't go into it too much, but yeah. But there were very, very many similarities between the two. But Namor had Aquaman by 2 years.
And I want to say this too, for all these people that complain about comics and look at the costumes that they put on Wonder Woman and Black Canary and this character, these skimpy outfits. Namor has been out there since 1939, running around wearing nothing but a belt, Speedos, and some of the Wonder Woman power bracelets. And
out there, Jerry, and loving every minute of it.
Yes. So they want to, anybody that wants to complain about skimpy outfits for female characters or Power Girl's boob window or any of that, you look at what Namor and like Hercules are running around in. Come on, it goes both ways.
For panel of the day, I've been meaning to send you some of the Atom's first appearance. Total wedgie from behind, up his ass. His little wrestling outfit. And his cheeks are flopping around in all the early appearances with the Atom. It is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, the Golden Age Atom. Yeah,
Golden Age Atom.
Palmer, and I was like, I read his first appearance. I don't remember that.
No, Al Pratt, because he's a wrestler.
Yeah,
and he's got the singlet. Nobody's complaining. No, nobody. Right.
Absolutely,
Richard. There are no men that complain about that.
That will be the platform that I run for public office on.
And Power Girl can be used for flotation device if you're in an emergency.
Yes. All right. So one thing you have your scenarios that you like the characters best in, but you also have the badass moments. I know we all pick 3 badass moments. I've got a long list of them, so I'll go last and I'll just say whichever ones you guys don't pick. So, Gary, why don't you start us off and give us your 3 favorite badass moments for Namor?
All right. So I already brought up this, but I'm going to bring it up again. Badass moments, and when he is screwing and messing with the Nazis in the Atlantic and with the Japanese in the Pacific, when he's wrecking their boats and when he's just on a rampage destroying them. That is badass. And he didn't always do it. No tariffs. There you go. He didn't always do it with Cap and the Torch. He did this solo.
Yeah.
On his own. When he was in the oceans, you're in trouble, buddy. So that's as badass as it comes. Old school now, in Avengers #3, Volume 1, Sub-Mariner beats the Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
And then he beats the Avengers, the early group of the Avengers. So he beats the Hulk, sends the Hulk packing, and the Avengers who were chasing the Hulk run into Subby, and Subby beats them. So there you go.
And this is when Pym was Giant Man, too, so he didn't have to beat Ant-Man. He had to beat Giant Man.
And Thor. And
yeah.
Yep, so he got them. And then, but I'm just assuming their temperature. There you go. And then the last one was in Civil War. Wolverine, one punch.
Oh yeah, that was Wolverine #45. Wow, that was one of mine.
One punch. That's it. Yep, he's done. I mean, Wolverine fought the Hulk for a lot, but yeah, it's because absolutely, Richard, had Beast been there, he would have frustrated Stubby, gotten a mouthful of fur or something, and wet fur is a dangerous thing to deal with. So yeah, he would have never made it.
All right, Ryan. So what are your top 3 badass moments with him?
So most recently he was in the Jason Aaron run, Namor, the Namor Jason Aaron run that ran 8 issues, started about summertime, just ended recently. And in this storyline, he comes up against 7 kings of the seas in basically like an ocean civil war, and he actually has to take on all the 7 kings and their armies all at once, and he just has like this badass moment of victory in that story. It was killer. The whole story, and we could talk about it later. That's one of my badass moments. I recently read he did there was a Marvel Snapshots one shot.
Great book.
Good one.
Really cool story that talks about or basically just talks about his relationship he had with Betty Dean, I believe.
Betty Dean, New York policewoman.
And they go to this kind of Coney Island-esque theme park, and I forget the villain's name now. I'm blanking. This villain from the Golden Age that commandeers a Nazi shark.
Yeah.
Mechanical suit comes in, and just that whole fight with the shark in that issue was just a lot of fun. I really loved the art. Jerry Ordway did the art on that book.
Yeah, he did.
Just a really fun read. Really fun read, and a nice insight into Submariner's. It kind of explains maybe sometimes why he's such a volatile guy. He's got PTSD. He went through World War II. He saw some of the worst action in World War II. Yep. Even Namor could have that PTSD, and it really kind of comes out in this storyline. And anyways, that fight though was really.
Ordway is great, and Dan always mentions his fantasy team up as Invaders and JSA.
Yes.
And if that's done, Ordway needs to do the art.
Yeah.
Ordway is he did this was it kind of Red Menace that came out years ago. It was a 5 or 6 issue miniseries that the actor Danny Bilson actually co-wrote. That was a really good one that was set during McCarthyism, and there was a superhero that was around that was like accused of being a communist and
well, we just know how he treats the Justice Society, and he would treat the Invaders with respect. It would be fantastic.
It was going to name Rhett. Well, Namorita is his cousin, so you do see that a lot where people have. I mean, my dad's name is Larry, and his 2 brothers are named Gary and Jerry, and their cousin was named Perry. So, it does.
Terry.
Yeah. So that was your 3 there, Ryan.
One more.
That's right.
And then the other one, I don't have the exact issue, but it's in the limited series from 2007, the Initiative Submariner series, and he goes to the X Mansion to seek some help from Xavier, but
issue 3.
He's greeted by Wolverine, and they have a little bit of a slobber knockle fight, and Namor wins it, but it's a good fight, and that was a really good moment. I thought it was badass.
Isn't that the one where he also takes out the couple Sentinels?
Yeah, well, that's where it kind of it ends on that when he leaves the mansion, but Wolverine wants to get him away because he's kind of a public enemy #1 in the United States, and he doesn't want any trouble brought on the mansion, so he ends up fighting Namor. But Namor ends up being trapped in their pool, but then he breaks out by just like smashing the wall of the pool and getting out from the like, I guess, their force field they had over the pool. Anyways, that fight was quite badass.
Jamie, welcome. Hope you're enjoying your trip to Chicagoland. So Namor and Aquaman are so upset with humans pee in the ocean.
Well. On dry land.
I also had that issue 3 as part of mine, but I had it when he took out the Sentinels. When he's going to leave the mansion, the Sentinels show up and they're like, "Oh, you're under arrest." And he just looks at him and he goes, "Those look pretty expensive." And he uses one Sentinel to trash the other Sentinel, then just flies away. And it's like, man, the Sentinels, it takes like multiple X-Men to take out one, and he took out 2 of them in a couple panels like it was nothing.
And they're like super upgraded Sentinels too. They're super upgraded too. They're not like your run-of-the-mill Sentinels. They were like on steroids.
Yeah. So I got a few. I'm surprised you had
the 3 shells. I like
4,
that.
5, 6. So I had 7 of them on.
Very good. That was very good. The 3 shells.
And I was convinced that you guys were going to use most of them, so I'll run through them quick. You want old school Gary with Avengers. I'm going to go old school too. Fantastic Four issue 4 when they reintroduced Namor and he took out all the Fantastic Four by
Yep.
himself.
He did.
After he just got, had amnesia for all these years and just got his memory and powers back, it was like, you're all nothing to me. Just wipes the floor with him.
Well, he didn't appreciate getting his beard burnt off.
Yeah. Well, it takes a long time to grow an epic beard like that.
Mm-hmm.
King in Black issue 4, when they have all these symbiotes that are all over, have taken over all these people in New York, and this one part of their plan where they're going to get rid of him is they have Namor flood New York. And it was funny because when they say, all right, Namor, you're up, and he just goes there and he says, he's like, about time, and he floods the entire city of New York, which he's done multiple times, but this time he did it for good, for a good reason. And then Storm and Thor, after it's all flooded, hit it with lightning to like zap out all these symbiotes. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then speaking of Venom, in the same book, that Initiative one, it was Sub-Mariner Volume 2 issue, actually the issue after the Wolverine and the Sentinel fight, issue 4, when they sent Venom after him. And this is when Max Gargan, the Scorpion, was in the Venom suit, and he's fighting him, and Namor kind of talks down to him and then takes his tongue and rips it out and drops it there and just leaves him there on the ground. Like, that's cold.
Mm-hmm.
But my two favorite ones are the second volume of Uncanny X-Men in issue 12, when all these characters are coming after him and he defeats on his own Luke Cage. And then after he beats Luke Cage, he uses Luke Cage to beat She-Hulk. Like, he actually physically takes Luke Cage and hits She-Hulk with him, which was just hysterical. Beat She-Hulk and then takes out the Thing too. And his covers are not great. We're gonna get to covers in a little bit. I think we got one or two.
I don't know, man. I Namor covers.
I could have gone entirely Golden Age. The cover.
Oh man, I had trouble finding, but that's just me. I've
got a Golden Age.
I had trouble narrowing it down.
Yeah, I mean, I could have done all Golden Age covers. They were so good.
I could have done all of his Silver Age covers. But yeah, like I had trouble. I collect that run. I love that Volume 2 Sub-Mariner run from Sub 1 to 72 or so. A lot of really great artists worked on the covers and books in that era too. Marie Severin was amazing, so underrated.
And Trailblazer, her and Ramona Fraden. Yep.
So I got one more moment. We usually do story time with Uncle Gary, but tonight we're going to do story time with Dan. It's from Dark Avengers issue 6. Norman Osborn, when he's the Iron Patriot and he's running the Dark Avengers and he's running S.H.I.E.L.D. and he's, the big guy in charge of everything, calls together this, this cabal of bad guys. It's like the Illuminati of bad guys. It's him and it's Namor and it's Doom and it's White Queen and it's Red Hood and all them. And Osborn just starts saying all this stuff is happening, and then just starts telling Namor, like, all right, you're going to do this, and, you're going to get this team together, and you're going to go do this, and you're going to go do this, and you're going to go do this. And Namor goes, and why on earth would I do anything even remotely close to that? And Osborn screams at him, because I told you to. And then that's the end of one page. And then the next page, you see White Queen kind of leaning to the side. You see Red Hood reaching for his gun. You see Doom and Loki. They're all kind of uneasy. And then Osborn tones it down and goes, because I told you to. And then you see and then Namor goes, and this is quintessential Namor. Listen very carefully, human. The fact that I even allow you to speak directly to me is a gift I bestow upon you. You do not order me around. You beg for my appreciation and then wait to see if I choose to bestow it on you.
I like that.
So good.
Yes.
It's funny. I don't like arrogant people, but I for some reason it just works for Submariner. Namor just I love it. I love his attitude.
Well, he's one of the biggest dicks in comics, so that's for sure. Yep.
But I love that whole, because that like I said, that perfectly encapsulated for me is
Who
like,
he is. Yep.
You don't order me, you wait until I decide that I want to talk to you. And that's how he looks at everyone. Like I said, he looks at that's why I like him on the Invaders, because he looks at the Invaders as equals. And almost everyone else, there's a few, like he's got respect for a few others, but for the most part, he looks down on everyone else. Like, you are so far beneath me.
He's a true royal,
Yes.
like he was born and raised in a palace, as a ruler. Like it comes across well.
And unlike a lot of rulers, in the real world, he's actually got the power and the stones to back up anything he says. He doesn't have to send an army after you. He can do it himself.
Despite all that, though, deep down, he's inherently good, which I like. I mean, whether it's good for you in the moment, maybe not, but like he is always doing good depending on your perspective. He's either doing good for his people, for Atlantis, or he's just doing
even when he's bad, sometimes he does good. Like when he threw that idol that the Eskimos were worshiping into the ocean, and it thawed out, and it was Captain America.
And he's kind of like Doom in that sense too. Like, Doom's clearly a bad guy, but when it comes to ruling Latveria, he's had issues with the Fantastic Four where they go there and the people in Latveria are like,
love him.
They love him. And and he's like, I just ask that the people worship me, or I didn't say worship, I forget how he phrased it, but he's like, they do what I say, and I provide them a good environment. I make sure that they're housed, that they're fed, that, he's like, I give them a good, an ideal country to live in. They just have to, acknowledge me as their total sovereign ruler. Yes, but as much as we love Namor, as much as we love all these characters, there are things that we do not like about them. I'll go first on this one. They can never really seem to decide if he's a hero or if he's a villain. And I guess maybe that's a good thing too, because he does straddle that line. He could be used in whatever scenario for that the story requires, but it does kind of get like, oh, he's a bad guy, oh, he's a good guy, he's a bad guy, he's a good guy. It does flip-flop a lot. But the one thing I really didn't like, and I have to disagree with Mr. Keith, I absolutely hated what they did with him in the MCU. They changed him so much. It's not Namor. Like they couldn't even get an actor that could pronounce the name, Namor. No, it's Namor. If you're going to change the character that dramatically, just make it a new character. But I hated everything about how they did his character, how they did the changes to him. Even personality wise, I didn't think that he had that level of arrogance in the movie that Namor always displays. He had like the hatred for, the surface dwellers, but that's really where it all stopped. So, and I find it unfortunate too, because as a fan of the character, because now that we've gotten this, we're never going to get a comic accurate one. If they ever do anything different with him, we've seen it in movies where when they do one thing in the movie or show, anything else they do in live action will stick close to that iteration and not the comic one. So that's my gripe. What about you, Ryan?
Well, I would say first off, like I totally agree. I'm not a fan of it either. And purely just because I like the way Namor is in the comics, and I just want comic accurate characters. And I wish it would have come across with the live action, but who knows? Maybe one day. But to be honest, I don't really think although I know they've said that he's going to be in Doomsday, I just don't think there's going to be like a lot of Namor in the movies anyways in the future, so I'm not going to lose too much sleep over, but I agree.
There was some kind of rights issue with him for a while.
I think there still is potentially, and that might be what was part of why they did what they did, but honestly I don't know.
I think they just did it to just because Aquaman had already had the movies first, and they were like, well, even though he was around in the comics before him, if we do he's the ruler of Atlantis and this, they're gonna be like, you're just ripping off Aquaman.
And that could also definitely be a big part of it too, which is too
could
bad.
Be. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see what they do in the future, but I don't really think they'll use him much anyways. But I guess I wish he would be more embracing of the fact that he's a mutant. He sometimes like poo-poos it, like he doesn't have as much affinity with the mutants. I wish he would more. I know he's allied with them and he's been on the X-Men and stuff like that, so there's been moments, but I think generally he just lumps mutants into surface, they're surface dwellers, and I'm not, and that's generally how he feels. But I wish he had a little bit more of an affinity with the X-Men and the mutant kind.
What about you, Gary?
Two things I don't like. One is part of the golden age. After as we got into after his early appearances, the art style changed, and I hate triangle head Namor where it's really exaggerated.
Yeah.
So where they really exaggerate the triangle of his head, I just think is ridiculous. It's okay for the early appearances like this. This is a great book, this Decades book that has all the early appearances. That's okay. He's angular. That's okay. But they get to where it's a big giant triangle, and that's just ridiculous. I hate that. And the other thing is in the, they need to quit trying to put him with Sue Storm, because here's the deal. No matter how tough he is, no matter how macho he is, there is no way in hell that he can please Sue Storm the way Mr. Fantastic can. So with Mr. Fantastic's power set, Namor has absolutely nothing he can give Sue that she can't get better from Mr. Fantastic. So knock it off.
He has been unlucky in love, right? His first wife died, then he married Marina. And
I read a whole thing about his top 7 love relationships and interests, and it was funny that they said, one of the reasons why sometimes maybe Sue strays is because he's pure passion and emotion, whereas Reed's like a cold fish, right? Like he's science and like just like driven by his intellect, whereas like Namor's just he's smoldering. He's exciting, right? So, but it's Marvel's first family. They got to keep. They got to keep.
Listen,
he's underwater Fabio.
I get it. He's a red hot lover. I get that, but he cannot please her the way Reed can.
You definitely are right there. Yeah.
Reed, Mr. Fantastic, Reed, the Elongated Man, and Plastic Man. They can do things that no other hero can do. So there you go. So they can fill the void, so to speak, in their relationships.
I mean, if you're going to go that way, Martian Manhunter's got him beat because he can do that, and he can read her mind and be like, "Okay, that's what you want."
Well, there you go. There is that. I like that too. The worst would be making Bruce Banner making love and hulking out in the middle of it. That
would be bad.
That would be very bad.
There's going to be more than his pants that rip.
Yeah. My
episiotomy, anybody?
My guy Colossus has the longevity factor though. He just has to stay in metal form.
There you go.
But yeah, like I said, he's Namor's been unlucky in love. First wife died. Married Marina, she died. Sue Storm, won't give him the business. He was kind of flirting with White Queen for a while when he was with the X-Men.
Yeah.
And he kept calling Scott Summers boy. Which
is awesome. I love it.
He's had a couple romances here or there, but you're like, man, you're king. You can't.
Well, he had Betty Dean.
Anyone?
He had Betty Dean for a while.
Yeah, Betty Dean too.
Yeah, Betty Dean, and then there was another one that he knew as a young.
Yes, there was. That's right.
Back in like his childhood, that he
Yeah.
was having a bit of a relationship with as well.
Yeah.
All right. So who was it earlier? Richard? Was it said that he doesn't have any good covers? His covers are not great. Well, Richard, you know what? We're going to attempt to prove you wrong with that now. And we're going to go with our top covers. I'm going to go with Sal's first since he's not here.
We'll talk about Sal. Yeah, let's talk about Sal.
So, here we go with Sal. He's I'm not sure what the one all the way on the left is. I mean, it's cool looking, but I'm not sure.
That's from the Jason Aaron run. I was heavily considering that one because it is awesome. My only gripe is that they didn't make a virgin variant of that.
Yeah.
I would have loved a virgin cover of that because that is incredible.
Yeah, and then the middle one, Prince Namor the Sub-Mariner, Prince Namor the Sub-Mariner #1. I don't have this issue because I'm not rich, but I do have. It's actually in the spinner rack behind me. I have the reprint of it that came out in '79, the Tales to Astonish one.
That's an iconic cover, but I do believe Namor's a little too bulky in that.
And then issue 20, all the way on the right, where it is Namor fighting Doom. That is a pretty great one too.
Mm-hmm. I like
part of that beautiful run. I love the covers in that run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I guess he's talking about Colossus.
Colossus, yeah. Lead poisoning.
Oh, lead. Organic steel.
When he would ejaculate, would he be getting the lead out?
Oh God.
Yeah. I like I said, I wholeheartedly agree with you, Excalibur. I did not like the MCU interpretation of it. I didn't really like Wakanda Forever overall, anyway.
Yeah, I understand some of the reasons why they went the way they did with the movie, but I think most people now would agree they should have recasted T'Challa.
See, yes. I was so uninterested, I didn't even see it.
There you go.
I watched it when they put it on Disney Plus. I didn't go to the movies. All right, Colossus, we'll go up with you next in your covers.
Oh, I like that one on the right. That is awesome.
Yes, that's cool.
Yeah. So
I love the Stingray's costume. I love that costume.
That is an all-time great costume.
Yeah.
So I definitely could have gone a lot of different ways. I love Sub-Mariner 1. But I am absolutely obsessed with Strange Tales 107. I
love it. Yeah.
I have a copy. It's the classic matchup. Water versus fire. It's Jack Kirby. It's and that book is actually chock filled with Silver Age legends. Stan Lee, Kirby, Ditko, they're all in that book. It's an incredible book, and I love that. I love just the simplicity, the color, and everything. Sub-Mariner 19, the first appearance of the Stingray. I've just always been so attracted to the color of the water, the motion of this cover. I think the action's great. I just have always loved that cover ever since I got it. And I had to include it because I don't think many people talk about that book. So wanted to include it. And then this Virgin Vari of Namor #1 from the most recent Jason Aaron series is just incredible. I mean, it was between that one and the one Sal had, but this one has the Virgin cover, and it's such an awesome cover.
Love it.
And you know what's funny, that middle one with the first appearance of Stingray, I have a copy of that, and I didn't know I did years ago, a few years ago during COVID when my mother passed away and we had to go clean out the house, and I was cleaning out this one desk, and I opened it up, and there's, all the desk drawers are, have papers stacked this and that. And I was going through the stack of papers, and then at the bottom of it was that book.
Wow.
I was like, why was this in this desk drawer under all these random papers? Like, I don't remember buying. I was like, did I buy it? And at some point as a kid, it was left sitting around, and it just got shuffled in with a bunch of papers in this desk. Like, did she buy it for some reason? Like, and then one of the other desk drawers also found that Marvel comic they did about the Pope, which was definitely one that she bought, not me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you never know how things get to where they get, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, cool issue to find.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, Stingray is an underused character, but that is an all-time great costume design.
I love that costume. Yep.
All right, Gary, we're gonna go with your covers next.
All right. To the left as an Invader, and I really dig that costume that he has there. That black costume with like the wings on it.
Uh-huh.
I like that costume, but that's just a great Alex Ross cover, with the Invaders there. And then one on the right is the great John Byrne, issue 1 of Namor the Sub-Mariner. Just all the rage, all the anger, all the angst flying through the air with as little fast as his little wings can give him. And then in the middle, that cover, oh my God, that is so awesome. The war cover, shooting the machine gun, taking the planes down, and look at his foot against the dude's throat that's getting ready to throw the grenade at him. I mean, just kicking him back. I mean, that cover to me is just amazing. Got the guy behind him with a knife creeping up on him. I just love that war cover, and I think it is absolutely amazing. And there were so many I could have chosen, and when we finish here, I'll have to show the picture I have of Marvel Mystery Comics #9, which was the first time they appeared. That Ryan was talking about how he liked the Fire and Water, the first Torch Namor on the cover of that book, and that was like the first great big team up issue, and it was fantastic, or fight issue, and it was a fantastic cover. But I just love the Golden Age ones, and there's a title that I'm going to have to try to get a copy of. It only went 12 issues. It's called All Select Comics, and the first 10 issues were basically the Torch, Cap, and Namor on all the covers, and they were all war covers pretty much. So, and those were in the like 43, 44 they came out. So I'd love to get one of those issues that has the three of them fighting the Axis. But there you go.
Look, I was gonna say that look on Namor's face in that middle cover too. Like I could just see him like yelling at him, like, "Come get some!"
No, absolutely, come get some. That's exactly right. You want some? You want some? Oh, you want some? Come get it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, those are definitely some. Those are some definitely good ones.
Yeah, Booge. That middle one is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that Invaders team, such a great team.
That's actually not Captain Britain there. That's Union Jack.
Union Jack, baby,
is another character that's got an all-time great costume design.
Who's the guy in the green?
That's the Vision.
Yep, that's the original Vision.
Oh, interesting.
That's the original Vision, Arcus. He was a cop from a different dimension and came over into our dimension and stayed for a while and had all these weird. It was one of those ones that had all these weird powers, and pretty much it was one of those like, oh, we kind of need this power for this story. Yeah, give it to him. Yeah. And when they introduced Vision in Avengers, that's the character. Was it Roy Thomas? That's the character that they wanted to use. And Stan Lee said, no, I don't want a mystical character. Do something else. So they created the new character, the Vision, that was the Synthoid. But if you look at, if you Google Golden Age Vision and you look at him, you'll see how many similarities there are in their look and some of their power set.
Yep.
They say Vision's a bit of a copy of Tornado, right? Is it Tornado?
Yeah, the Red Tornado. There's similarities. There's similarities.
Yeah. But I guess it might have been more towards him. That's cool.
Well, and I believe when we had the Vision episode, I believe the Red Tornado, when they reintroduced him in JLA 64, that predated the Vision. It was I think a few months ahead of time. So
but yeah, I mean, it's a bit similar with the Android thing, but like I said, if you look up the Golden Age Vision, it's clear that that's who they based based the new one on.
And if you look up the Golden Age Red Tornado, that is not who they based.
Yeah, no, it was not Ma Uncle.
It was not my uncle.
All right, and then we're gonna go with my covers last because I'm the only one left. And I also, all the way on the left, I had that same one, Namor issue 1. I love that burn cover where he's just bursting out of the water, and like he's muscular, but he's not too muscular. And,
right.
He's just got that angry scream, and it's just it's probably my favorite solo Namor cover. The middle one, though, from the same run, issue 12, is one of my all-time favorite comic covers, probably one of my top 10. This was an issue I got when I was a kid. And, when you're a kid, you're not, you don't really know much about storylines of this. You're buying stuff because, like, oh, this looks like a cool cover. And, I kind of read, some old issues of Invaders, and I got that, and I was like, oh, my God, that's such a cool cover with Namor and Cap and the Human Torch all, just all going forward. And Namor's the one leading the charge, and it's such a dynamic cover, and it just looks so badass. It was a cool storyline too, and just that
was when I was trying to get an Invader cover. That was one of the finalists. Yep.
Yeah, that was those two were the first two I picked because I knew I wanted issue 1, and I knew I wanted that one because, like I said, one of my all-time, probably one of my top 10 favorite comic covers of all time. And when you're picking your favorite covers too, there's more to it than just the cover itself. It's it's what your memories are associated with the cover as well.
It's who you are as a person, what attracts you to something. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and especially too, a lot of people, if they pick their favorite covers, a lot of people are probably going to pick stuff that was some of the first ones that got them into comics too.
Yeah, for sure.
And anyway, and then the one on the right, Gary said he likes Namor kicking Nazi ass.
Yep.
I mean, this one is pretty great. It's it's another Invaders cover, but he's front and center in it, and just him coming down and smashing that swastika, I thought was just that's just.
And I love that series. That's on my must read list.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love anybody kicking Nazi ass?
Well, unfortunately, not as many people as we would hope these days.
Yeah. So those are my covers, and I also will pull one on my spinner rack because I have my honorable mention. I knew I'd had the 2 burn ones on there, and then I was debating at the end whether I was going to go with that one or this one. So since nobody picked it, I still wanted to show it because that's a great cover too.
With both costumes.
Where it's Namor. This awesome Alex Ross cover of Namor fighting Namor.
Yep.
Very cool. I also have it.
And here's, look at that. That's a great book too. Look at that.
I absolutely love that. That's a runner-up.
Oh, that's great. That artwork is fantastic.
Okay, there's that first team up. Marvel Mystery Comics number 9. Look at that.
That's nice.
That's great.
So can you imagine that being on the rack? And here you see the Human Torch and Namor going to go up against each other. They even have it 22 throwback pages. The city was rapidly being wrecked as the Sub-Mariner ran wild. Could the Human Torch stop this mad destruction? Read this amazing battle of 2 superhumans. And this was one of the first big crossovers like that in comic history. So that book is a big deal.
No, Booge, I don't think there is one called the Nazi Stomper, but you know what?
No,
that could be one that we create. There is the Hydra Stomper, but not quite the same.
That was on the cover. Your cover was on what they used for the graphic novel cover.
Yes. Mm-hmm. All right, so one thing that goes along with great covers is great stories. So we all have our recommended readings. So let's go ahead and throw those up. Again, I'll throw Sal's up first since he's not here tonight. So he suggests Atlantis Attacks, Namor the First Mutant, and the New Avengers run where Namor was part of them. And we will go next to let's go next to you, Ryan, and tell us about your picks.
Yeah, so Sub-Mariner, the Depths miniseries
Oh yeah,
was very interesting.
Yeah, and he's barely in it too.
And we talked about it a bit a few days ago, Dan.
Yeah,
it's a horror book.
Like, it's not really a Namor. Like, if you're going into it going, I love Submariner, it's definitely not what you're going to expect. It's this dark Marvel Knights mini series. It's very kind of Dan, you mentioned like it's Aliens meets The Thing meets
with like some Apocalypse Now thrown in the whole
Yeah.
sense that like he's going after this guy Kurtz.
Little boss boot, little U571 kind of like it's got all those mixed together, but it's dark. It's about an expedition to find Atlantis. This is in an else universe where nobody knows about Atlantis. It's purely a rumor. Namor is an old sea dog tale that of a man that will kill you, and he's very much a scary monster in this story.
He's a boogeyman.
He's the
boogeyman. I don't
boogeyman.
think they don't really say specifically when it takes place. I got the impression it's like late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of like 50s or 60s.
Or maybe it was 50s, yeah. It's not like a modern book, or it's not a modern
and it's
story.
definitely not in like Marvel 616, like, because he's unknown. He's a complete like legend of the sea type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just dark and it's a little violent and quite interesting story.
Yeah.
Next one, Namor Limited. That's the one that I've talked about a few times tonight, by Jason Aaron. It just came out. It was an 8-issue run. Excellent. It's about a civil war within the ocean that Namor tries to stop. He's trying to actually build an army against a threat from the surface, but he's got so many different kings of the sea that are trying to vie for the throne of Atlantis, the throne of the sea, and it's a really, really good storyline for Namor. And then the last one is the Submariner Limited series, which I also mentioned earlier. This is kind of coming off the heels of the Civil War crossover series. Namor's kind of in some hot water. He sided with Cap in Civil War. The U.S. government's relationships with him are tough, and he gets basically kind of blamed for a mass terrorist attack, and he kind of goes on a mission to try to stop it from coming and to kind of clear his name. And anyways, it's quite a good 6-book series and a lot of cameos from your favorite Marvel characters. A lot of fun to read.
Wasn't that the one where they thought that he was dead?
Yes.
Yeah, the one where they kept showing the image of like the skeleton in Namor's outfit sitting on the throne.
It basically
really good.
The first issue starts with the destruction of Atlantis and what looks like the remains of Submariner.
Yeah.
But then they go back like a week, and then the whole series kind of takes place from a week prior to that first page from the first issue.
And it's the one, it's easy to identify. It says like the initiative real big across the top, because that was what they had.
Yeah. It was part of a series of stories called The Initiative.
Yeah.
Richard, Namor versus Aquaman in the DC and Marvel crossover series where they had them fight. I mean, I believe Namor's stronger than Aquaman and he can fly, but Aquaman beat him by dropping a whale on him. Namor was on a pier and Aquaman commanded a blue whale to leap out of the water and land on Namor. That's how he beat him. It's kind of cheesy, but I'll take that as my victory.
Yeah, I think we all know that they just did that because Aquaman was the more popular character at the time. But
yeah, I agree. Though Aquaman's no slouch now. But,
oh no, he's no slouch. But if it came
Namor is
down
a powerhouse. Yeah,
if it came down to straight up Namor against Aquaman, I think Namor would take the cake. It'd be a good fight, but I think Namor comes out on top.
Yep, absolutely. I think so too.
What do you think, Ryan?
I agree, but I I can't really speak with any authority because I don't know enough about Aquaman.
Well, Aquaman would use sea creatures, I think, to his advantage a bit, and I think that would prolong the fight. And hook-handed Aquaman does have a pretty cool weapon there, so so we'll see. But Namor is stronger. I do believe Aquaman is smarter than Namor and more strategic because Namor relies on that strength so much that I don't think he thinks through tactics very much because he can just beat the hell out of anything.
Impulsive. Namor.
Yes, impulsive. Right. Very impulsive. Yeah.
Well, Aquaman's got that water kinesis now too. So
well, that would enhance him right now. That is true because that's that he got that power that Murrah had. So he has that right now.
Maybe they could have a trident fight.
Yeah, there you go. Who's got the biggest trident?
All right. So let's go with let's go with your recommended reading next, Gary.
All right. Also, The Depths, and it's a horror story.
Aquaman, it's like an old school, like school, like 70s horror type.
Right. And Namor's the boogeyman, is what he is. I mean, it's just really, he's a myth, he's a legend. Is he real? Is he not? It's just really great. I showed a picture of this, the cover that Dan had. It's on the Always Invader hardcover. And it was the Invaders 1 through 12, the 2019 series. This was a fantastic series, and it had time jumps. Yep, there you go, Boosh. It has a lot of time jumps, and it has World War II era stuff, modern stuff, where he's run afoul of the world again, and Cap and Buck and Winter Soldier and the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond, have to kind of go after him again and get him reset. And they reveal some stories from Namor's World War II era past that we didn't know about. A dear friend of his had passed away, and it's traumatized Namor. So there's secrets that are revealed. It's just a really great series. I absolutely love this. And the stuff in the past shows Namor kicking some Axis ass in it too, with the Invaders. So just really great story with these great characters running through it in modern and older incarnations. Loved it. And then
and it showed some stuff with him in the past with Professor X too.
Yes, absolutely. So
that was a good series.
Yeah, Zdarsky wrote it. Carlos Mango and Butch Geis were the artists on it. And then Ryan mentioned this earlier, the Marvel Snapshots, Submariner 1. It was just a little one-shot, but it was a great, interesting story. It had Betty Dean in it again. Jerry Ordway did the art. It was just a wonderful, old-school comic. Had the great fight with the metallic shark suit. And it's just a great one-shot comic to read. Can't recommend it highly enough.
All of those Marvel or most of those.
Yeah, they were good. They were really good. Yes.
Yeah.
Marvel Snapshots. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So doubled up on the readings. Two recommendations for The Depths. And I actually told Sal, I said, hey, if you haven't read this one, The Depths, you should read that. I said, I sat there and read it in one sitting. It was phenomenal. And he goes, oh yeah, that's on Gary's recommended reading too.
Yep.
All right. So for mine, I've got Saga of the Sub-Mariner. That was a 12-issue series that came out. I forget exactly when. I would say late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, that's the 80s. I think that was the 80s.
Yeah. And it's just a book that just tells, you could pick up one series that'll tell you kind of like the whole history of Namor. And so it starts at the beginning and then goes to World War II and then up to, modern Marvel and all that. So it's just a series that's a good encapsulation to get, all of his history in one spot. Then I got The Invaders, Volume 1. I'm doing an Archduke Heavy type of thing. I'm like, hey, here, just pick up this entire series. Only ran for 30-some issues. But yeah, I as I've made known many times, I love The Invaders. I'm close to completing my Invaders Volume 1 run, which I hope to do, knock on wood, by the end of this year. And like I said, that's the one team I like seeing him on And then Namor the Sub-Mariner, that's the John Byrne series 1 through 25. And I just ended at 25 because that's when Byrne stopped drawing it. And like I said, I'm not a huge Jay Lee fan. Byrne kept writing it for a few more issues, but that's when they were really trying to push Namor, in the 90s. Like, hey, here's his own book again. They did advertise it like, Marvel's first mutant. Byrne had a way in the first issue of kind of explaining why Namor was always like hot and cold, and having these changes in personality, and kind of calmed him down for the majority of the book. But it was you see him when the world presumes he's dead, and he takes over this company and is going to try and help the environment, try and change the world this way, because he's not ruling Atlantis at the moment. And there's just a lot of cool stuff that happens in it. The invaders are involved in it. He de-ages Spitfire back to where she was in World War II. He brings Iron Fist back in this. He's got the original Human Torch that's in it for a while. Right towards the end of his run, penciling it, he's got an awesome cover of him fighting Wolverine. Just a really, really good read. Is there Invader? Is there a collection of the original Invaders run? I don't think that there is.
Yes, there is. It's a big giant omnibus. It's sitting on my shelf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a big, because it's every issue. I have all the originals, but I have that big giant omnibus too.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know it. Was it something that was released a while ago?
In the past 5 years, I guess.
Okay. I must have completely missed that. So real quick, we're almost at the end, but we didn't mention it yet. So I got to mention, we this year are doing a giveaway every month. And our giveaway for the month of April is this right here. Marvel, a little bit of Marvel, a little bit of DC. So for DC, you get the Rand Thanagar complete miniseries that was from Infinite Crisis, which I bought, and both of these I bought them off the shelf when they were coming out. Fantastic read. And then the Avengers versus Thunderbolts miniseries, which is, again, another great read too. So these are our giveaways for the month of April. If you are subscribed, the $1 a month, you're automatically in it. Otherwise, if you're in the, we got you, Richard. Just do what Richard did. Put in the chat, #giveaway. You get entered, and then at the end of the month, Jamie will use a randomizer and pick a name, and he'll be sending a stack of comics your way.
There you go.
So make sure to like, share, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the shows, because every show is a chance to win. But you're already a winner just because you're joining us.
Absolutely.
All right. So, thank you, Booge. We got that. Yeah, just like Richard said, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe thing too. Like Jamie always says, it's just a click for you, but it means everything to us. Our goal is to hit 2,000 subs on YouTube by the end of the year. So, we're on our way. We just need your all's help with it. All right. So we always end with picking best writer, best artist on it. So you could pick the writer and artist that you think is best for them, or you could pick a writer and artist that you'd like to see do them. So, Ryan, this was your pick. Why don't you tell us who you like best for them?
Well, I've been saying it all night, Jason Aaron. I really liked that series, and I only wish it could have kept going, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and he's the best writer for me right now.
Nice. Yeah. Buy my art and do some push-ups. Come get a commission. I'll draw a Namor for you.
Thank you, Mr. Keith.
Namor in any outfit, long hair, short hair. Just let Dan know.
Speedo, banana hammock, whatever you want.
And what about, did you say for artists who you pick for your artist would be?
I didn't, but I'll pick Marie Severin because
there you go.
Love her artwork on that Silver Age run.
I like that.
All right. What about you, Gary? Who would your picks be?
My pick is going to be the writer that put him in Motion Picture Funnies, and that would be Bill Everett, who created this character and who made this character the first comic character as we know them to kick Nazi ass. So I'm going to give Bill Everett a big thumbs up for that, and a little bit of love for his artwork on it too.
Yeah.
And I think Bill Everett was also, wasn't he the original artist on Daredevil? I think too. But Bill Everett for my writer, and for my artist, Jerry Ordway. I think what he did in that snapshots was so good, and the love he has for the golden age characters, I think that he would be great. That he does a great Namor and has a great feel and flavor for that era. And I love that World War II era stuff the best anyway. So that's why I'm really going old school with the theme, with the style and everything.
Nice. I agree with you, Booge. I think Rucka could write a good Namor. Yep. For writer, I'm actually going to pick a writer that hasn't really worked on him, but one that I would like to. Peter David had a great Aquaman run.
Yep.
Mind seeing what he could do with Namor too.
I bet it would be good. Yep. His Aquaman had a serious attitude problem. So,
that's what I was saying. His Aquaman, when he was writing it, he made him very Namor-esque.
Yeah.
And not quite the extremes that Namor goes to, but I think he could do good. And for artists, I picked two of his covers. I got to go with John Byrne. I love the art that he did on that series. Like I said, I got two of his covers that I picked, and if you go through all the covers of the Byrne run, there's so many good ones. Like I said, number 24, where it's him fighting Wolverine. It's like all the green around them was really awesome. There was the cover for, I believe it was issue 4, where it's like all the oil spill that he's in, and it just says like Black Death, and there's so many. There's a couple good Iron Fist covers because, like I said, he used Iron Fist on there, and a lot of great covers for that. So that's who I'm going to go with. But since I also, have the Alex Ross cover here, and I picked the one where he's smashing the swastika, I would want Ross to do all the covers.
You can't go wrong there.
All right. Well, we've gone through everything that we have to go through. Is there anything else that you guys want to throw out there with the character? Favorite costume for him, least favorite costume.
I like that black costume with the wings. I just think it's a more, he can't always just wear the Speedo. So when he has to be a little more formal, he can wear the black outfit.
I didn't mind that like black and blue costume that he wore for a while, like during he wore it when he was with the X-Men, but he also wore it some other times. But I really like that one a lot.
Yeah, I like what he was wearing currently in the Namor stuff. It's an iteration of the same thing that we're all talking about. It's kind of the black suit. Same in the 2000. That's right, ladies. Mr. Fantastic can please you so much more than Namor. If there's one thing you take away from this show, that.
That's right. Hey, you know what? We cover all the angles, and I mean all the angles.
And so does he. That's why
Mr. Fantastic.
That's right. Hey, because you know what, Mr. Fantastic, it's not just length; it can be girth too, baby.
It goes.
There you go.
That'd be a great comic if he was, if they did one where he's like, "Why do you think they call me Mr. Fantastic?" Baby?
That's right. That's right. Exactly right.
It ain't because of science.
I didn't do a
It ain't because of his big brain, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't do a Namor costume per se, but like I said, I've made it known. I've said it more times that people are probably sick of hearing me say it. I'd love to see an Invaders JSA crossover. And when they did the amalgam stuff, I'm like, I'd love to see an amalgam of them. So I made my own, and I think I have it. Yeah. I did that, and of course, I had to have Namor's part of it. So for for that, I combined Namor and Hawkman, and I made the character Seahawk.
I like it. I like that.
So you could see some of the. I made it the
Seattle
Justice
Zone.
Society of Invaders.
Seattle Zone. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that.
Exactly. So that's the closest I've had. But yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind taking a crack at doing a Namor costume design. Though I think we all know he's always going to go back to the green trunks.
I think Seahawk was a good call rather than
I like that.
Seaman. That would have been not as
Rather than what?
Seaman.
Seaman.
Oh, there's a great random panel today I sent Dan where Aquaman is talking about he's raising money for for semen, you know, and he said the sale of my Aqua dolls, little Aquaman figures, will help me raise money for semen.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was like, oh wow.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? Again, check out my Instagram page, Dan Kelly Art, and if you want to get that commission, you could commission me to design a Namor costume for it. But look, man, if I had that body and those muscles like Namor would, I'd walk around in a Speedo all the time too. I'd be like, check out what I got
here it is,
on.
baby. I'm no Reed Richards, but here it is.
I have the body now that like the reverse OnlyFans where they would pay me money to put clothes back on.
Oh, that's a good line, but not true. Nobody would do that.
All right,
we like you naked, Dan.
Hey, save it for after dark. All right. Well, once again,
in the dark.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us for another comic character of the week. Thank you to special guest in Ryan, Colossus Collector.
Fellow right over there.
To remind everyone where they can find you at, what you got coming up on your shows.
You could find me here on YouTube, Colossus Collector. You could find me on Instagram at Colossus Collector. And coming up on my channel on Saturday at 7:00, I'll be streaming with Matt and Clemson and Brandon from Mon Comics and Justin from No Good Comics. Matt he's dabbling in the cleaning and pressing game, and he's got a CQC submission that he recently got back, and we're gonna unbox it and we're gonna see what he got on all the books that he has cleaned and pressed. So that'll be
nice,
fun little show on the channel. And then Monday I've got I think Monday I'm gonna have a new video come out on just a recent Alpha Flight haul I got. And then at the end of the month, on April 28th, I think the last Monday of the month.
28th.
I have a Council of X show with my council guys, and we're doing we're each presenting our very own original X-Men mutant character. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what the guys came up with. That's my April.
Nice.
Now you can have somebody from Marvel watch that and start stealing your ideas.
Call us, Marvel.
You know what? I might come up with one and message you on Instagram and be like, show this on there.
Sure. Please do.
Well, thank you for joining us again. Always great to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
And for everyone else out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, I don't know. Until next time, we'll be here. Come watch again. We'll be back on Saturday for Comics Unleashed and be back next Thursday for the next comic character of the week, which will be Deadshot.